Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Sharing gory images from road crashes online will soon be illegal. Calls for Ministry of Health to increase public awareness on viral illnesses. And later in sports, Jamaica Premier League leaders push for knockout success. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. Posting or sharing gory images and pictures and videos of crashes or crimes will soon be an offense. This as legislators reviewing this Cybercrimes Act are closer to including the practice in the law. O'Shane Masters reports.
For years, there has been outcry about gruesome videos of deceased individuals and mangled body parts resulting from road crashes being posted online. But lawmakers are now in the process of making the practice an offense. The matter was raised by Julian Robinson at Wednesday's meeting of the Joint Select Committee, which is reviewing the Cybercrimes Act 2015.
In scenarios where people have traffic accidents and images are shared with them sometimes the people are dead and sometimes they are badly mangled. Can somebody be considered guilty of that particular provision there?
The provision being referred to is that of the sharing of intimate images or videos. But government member of the committee, Senator Cavan Gale, believes the point raised by Mr. Robinson is worthy of being included.
We need an area to treat with that because that is an area that concerns has been raised by the public in terms of the unfortunate transmission of such events. And maybe if we can find a way to capture that elsewhere, outside of the definition of intimate, we may want to consider it.
Committee Chairman Darrell Vaz also agrees. He says the nature of those videos is disturbing and it's even becoming more frequent, which is of greater concern.
Even for people who don't have any knowledge or relationship with the deceased or the injured. I mean, it's just, to me, it's just not right. So I support Member Robinson and Member Gale that we should find somewhere to put that in to try and deter people from posting those images.
Now, as to where the Cybercrimes Act that would be inserted.
We could do some further research to see what that could look like, but to the best of my recollection, at the moment, I think it may be only one jurisdiction that has a provision like that, but I will look further and I can report at the next meeting.
Okay, members, you agree on that?
Yeah, if there's one, there's one. Let's look at it.
Mr. Chairman, a question. If we're not happy with the one definition that exists, what about drafting our own? Because this is a matter of concern. Is there any problem with us drafting our own wording for that?
I don't think so. But as a layman, I would defer to the legalese. But I'm sure that we can find some jurisdiction that has it and tweak it. I think right in the next meeting we should be in a position to have something.
Mr. Vaz believes it would be an injustice to the Cybercrimes Act 2015 if such a provision is not included. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
There's a call from one public health specialist for the Ministry of Health to increase public awareness about the surge in viral illnesses. Dr. Alvaston Bailey says the situation is getting worse and needs to be controlled. Over the past few weeks, quite a number of persons have been showing up at hospitals and private medical facilities with flu-like symptoms. Dr. Alvaston Bailey, who is a medical doctor and a public health specialist, says he's seen quite a few cases himself. He says so far, 40% of the patients he sees have flu-like symptoms, especially among the young and senior citizens.
And what is also interesting is that many repeat visits are every 2 weeks in some cases. These are associated with high fever, especially in children, and seizures, Many persons present with inflammation of the throat, laryngitis, inflammation of the air, otitis media, inflammation of the bronchioles, bronchiolitis. They have exacerbation of underlying asthma, and have had a number of elderly who have developed pneumonia and have had to be referred for hospitalization.
Dr. Bailey says what is even more worrying in his practice is that some of the older patients are developing persistent respiratory distress for weeks after the initial infection. And with a reduction in the COVID-19 positivity rate, Dr. Bailey is of the view that the Ministry of Health and medical practitioners should be more vigilant about the other viruses circulating. For example,
based on the data coming from CDC, there are many of them. We have the rhinovirus, the coronavirus, respiratory syncytial virus, metapneumovirus, we have the adenovirus, we have the influenza virus, parainfluenza, and a really important one which has shown up in the States, and I do not know if it has arrived in Jamaica yet, which is an enterovirus which can cause a polio-like paralysis in some cases.
As such, Dr. Bailey is calling on the Ministry of Health to improve its messaging in order to control this surge.
You also need to, as a matter of urgency, give us some information as healthcare providers about what type of viruses are circulating in Jamaica. Because patients come to you and say, "Doc, why am I getting sick so often? Why is my child getting sick so often?" And it's difficult for me to state emphatically what the virus is because I do not know. Therefore, the ministry should give us the genome sequencing of the viruses so that we can inform our patients and they can be more aware of the risk they face and take precautions.
Meanwhile, Dr. Bailey says he's no longer concerned about the spread of the monkeypox virus. This despite concerns by Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton about 2 additional cases in recent times.
It's an infection that affects a particular population of persons, and they were primarily those in the homosexual community, and those persons who were affected have taken rigorous measures to prevent the spread among their network. And so I think for the whole world, monkeypox is now is becoming unimportant as an infectious disease.
President of the Jamaica Association for Private Security, JASP, Teddy Lee Gray, is insisting that the government intervention is needed to resolve contract issues at several security firms. The government has encouraged aggrieved security guards to use the established channels to settle grouses with security companies over controversial contracts now being issued to employees. At yesterday's post-cabinet press briefing, Information Minister Robert Morgan indicated that the guards could get redress through the established channels. But speaking this morning on Power 106 Morning Agenda, Mr. Gray explained the guards have not had enough time to unionize.
To at least can talk on behalf of them. But at the end of the day, the reality of the matter is that the Supreme Court ruled September. So it's going to basically be impossible to get the security unionized by like even April of now. So that's why we're calling for government intervention. It's not a single matter. The minister is making, I think he's very naive. He's talking about the security guards can go to the ministry and get the thing sorted out. It's not, you cannot have thousands of security going to the ministry. It's not practical.
The security guards have been arrested over contract issues for several days. A Supreme Court ruled last September that effective April 1, 2023, security guards should be treated as employees and not contract workers. However, there have been complaints that some guards are being laid off over their refusal to sign one-year employment contracts. Technology-driven farming and new linkages across the world. Those are some of the positives from agriculture stakeholders at the recent Easter Monday Agri-Expo in St. Mary. It's been touted as the new era in local agriculture, the Grow Smart, Eat Smart campaign. At Monday's Agri-Expo at the JP Farm Sports Complex in St. Mary, Agriculture Minister Pernell Charles Jr. explained the growing vision for the sector.
It's about production, but a focus on productivity. So if you have 1 acre producing 10,000 pounds, we want you to have that 1 acre producing 20,000 pounds. And we're going to show you how, in terms of techniques and management and the fertilizer and chemicals that you use or do not use, the water efficiency, all of the various things that make up higher productivity.
In addition to the growing knowledge-based agricultural best practices, sector players including schools and tech companies have been pushing technology, including drones, to enhance productivity and security. Despite the push, however, there is concern.
Sometimes when people are introduced to technology by RADA, there's a little hesitation. And I want to encourage all of us to visit the College of Agriculture's booth, where there is a hydroponics system set up there to grow lettuce and callaloo and pak choy. Because we can all be farmers even when you don't have enough land. And it is very inexpensive.
We are doing very deliberate approaches to build up agriculture. That's why we say grow smart, eat smart. Because we're building strategic partnerships with Cuba. We're building partnerships with friends from Cayman and across the world, Japan and other places, to make sure that we can develop a strong and resilient framework for agriculture in Jamaica.
This year's St. Mary Agri-Expo is the 35th staging, attracting the largest number of patrons since the pandemic. Agri-Expo is one of the largest local agriculture shows, listing second only to the yearly Denby Agricultural Show in Clarendon. Meanwhile, Mr. Charles is calling on more young people to get involved in agriculture. He said a good way to start is by becoming a member of the 4-H Club. He says the club offers more than 100,000 opportunities that can assist young people to build a better Jamaica.
My 4-H Club has been one of the most excellent pillars of growth in agriculture. The 4-H Club is doing more than you know. And I want to use this platform to call on every single youngster in Jamaica, wherever you are, to reach out to the 4-H Club, get involved, participate in our hydroponics, aquaponics. We have so many different activities and so many opportunities for you.
Mr. Charles says the club has been a success over the years and he has seen proof of that.
And I always go back to our Achievement Day recently in St. Ann, where I spoke to and listened to a young man, 8 years old, and he recited for me, Dr. Guy, 10 minutes straight of his own composition around what it means as a young Jamaican to grow smart and eat smart. I did not have to speak after I listened to him. 8 years old, excellence, intelligence, and involved in agriculture.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
The Caribbean Development Bank has approved a policy-based loan of $100 million to the Bahamas. The loan is to assist the country in its economic recovery and resilience plan. The policy-based loan, which is the first part in a proposed two-part facility, will enable the government of the Bahamas to implement a program of policy, legislative and institutional reforms for strengthening fiscal discipline and revenue mobilization. The loan is expected to help the Bahamian economy recover from the dual impact of Hurricane Dorian in 2019 and the COVID-19 pandemic. The second tranche of the loan, valued at $25 million, is expected to be appraised in the 2023-24 fiscal year. And further afield, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, U.S. grocery prices fell in March, which is the first decline since September 2020. The data shows indexes for fish, eggs and poultry fell 1.4% from February to March. The price for fruits and vegetables also dipped slightly in that time frame. Bakery items, cereals, and non-alcoholic drinks were among the products that became more expensive. And although the month-to-month decline is a relief for consumers, grocery prices are still more expensive on an annual comparison. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Jamila Maitland.
And time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, health authorities in St. Lucia say they are monitoring alerts from the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, regarding the increasing number of dengue and chikungunya cases in the Americas, including the Caribbean. According to PAHO, the number of dengue cases doubled last year compared with 2021, and the same increasing trends were noted with chikungunya. The St. Lucia's Health Ministry says while the majority of these cases have been reported in South American countries, the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which is the vector responsible for the transmission of these diseases, is present in St. Lucia. On the international scene, the upper-level departures roadway at the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport has been reopened to allow travelers waiting for family or friends to pick them up to do so. This after severe flooding shut down the airport Wednesday night. Dozens of flights were cancelled after the heavy downpour brought parts of South Florida to a halt. Persons outside the building were forced to exit their cars in waist-deep water. The entrance to the lower-level arrivals area remained closed along with the rest of the airport. And a powerful storm that is charging towards Western Australia has intensified to a Category 5 system. Severe tropical cyclone Ilsa is expected to hit Port Hedland, the state's north, late Wednesday night. A red alert has been issued across the region, with thousands of people ordered to take immediate shelter. While Northern Australia is no stranger to cyclones, this storm is predicted to be the strongest to hit the region in 14 years. And those are the top regional and international stories. I'm Carrie-Ann Simpson.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, O'Shane Masters will have your midday sports report.